Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Chaplains Podcast, here with my brother and friend, Jay Flowers.
Let's make it Jay Francis.
Jay Francis. Oh, Jay Francis. Jay Francis. I don't know why I keep saying Flowers.
That's all right.
It's Jay Francis.
Yeah, Jay Francis Francis.
Yes, so we're glad to be here. Well, Jay, glad to have you with me again. You've been out and about and hadn't been around a couple of weeks and everything. And was looking to have your pastor, but he had an emergency, so we're going to look to have him on next Monday. He had a powerful message on this past Sunday that I thought a lot of. He just laid out the gamut of what we've been talking about. And talking about where's the church now? What is our mission? What is our purpose within community? And he just touched on all assets of facets of what we should be doing as a community and what we should be doing in church. And I'm looking forward to him touching on the justice part in which y'all have going on next week.
Right.
Can you tell me what
the Administered Justice Program is a program that we do for people that have problems either in the court civilly or criminally, and they have a chance to come in, sit down and talk with an actual lawyer and give some background on what their situation is. If it's something that we find that we can work with, then we'll even put them in touch with a permanent lawyer that will represent them in court.
Okay. That's a great program. You all have been doing that program for how long now?
We're going into our second year of doing it.
Second year.
Yeah, and on the first Saturday of every month, we do it. It's a $30 fee to cover the cost of just seeing the lawyer, which normally if you go see a lawyer, you're talking about $500.
Exactly.
So $30 covers your consultation, and if needed to go to court, we can help set you up with a actual attorney that will represent you in court.
Okay.
So in some of the conversations we've had, Winston, we've talked about some of the books you've read. Share with the listener, the viewer out there this morning, what are some of the things that they need to see? I've had the chance to look at your library, very extensive.
Well, let me first touch on some that I picked up on these last couple of weeks, what's been going on.
Okay.
And everything. Roland Martin interviewed, I think, a pastor here from the local area, Pastor Cody.
Yeah.
And he's a white pastor, and he's. It's been a number of them. Now, he's not the only one, but he's one of the ones. White pastors exposed hijack Christianity and everything, racism, disciples, evangelical lies, and so forth. And so they have been exposing and talking about this racism within Christianity.
Right.
And I thought it was a good thing. The thing about it, Brother Jay, is that we wait on them to give us affirmation on stuff, and we've been talking about this information for years.
Yeah.
But when a white pastor comes out with it, now it's now we see it as true. And everything. But this information has been out there, as we've stated before. We say my people perish for the lack of knowledge.
Right.
But it also states that there is not only perish for the lack of knowledge, but they reject knowledge. So it's about, when they say study to show yourself approved, it's not talking about just remembering Bible scripture. You need to know some history, know some background, and know the world that you're living in. So I have a number of books that I think they're easy to read, and I think we should be incorporating more within our churches, more book studies instead of Bible studies, and just memorizing. Bible verse, but knowing what these verses mean and knowing some historicity behind it.
Right.
As we always state, I told you the Bible is a historical
history book.
Historical book.
Yeah.
But it's not a history book.
Okay.
It's a historical book.
Historical book.
But it's not history. It's more prophetical than anything. But some of the books I have, the Hosea, is one book by Melania Carinthia.
Let's turn that around so
everything. That's the book. This book here, it gives its sacred wisdom of ancient Egypt. When you read this, you will also see in this book about some of the things about Mi'at and everything. And it deals with when you look at some of the text in this book, you will see some reflections of the Ten Commandments, where it was drawn from. It's older than the Ten Commandments. These precepts and principles in which they live by. The other book is the Broader File, by Anthony T. Broader.
Okay.
Great story. You say it has a lot of wear and tear on it.
Yeah.
But it's a good read. It's a simple read, and just getting you familiar with different historical concepts and symbols. And thought processes. This is the other book by Karinga. He had the book of the Coming Forth by Day.
Okay.
And she's talking about the ethics and the declarations of innocence, and that's what the Mayat and the principles of Mayat. It's 36 and 47. Part was rewritten and everything, so it and everything, but those principles remain the same. So,
share with the viewer and with me a couple of principles that you have found good for you. That you can use on a daily basis.
The Declaration of Innocence, I would just read it from a few. I have not done wrong to people. I have not impoverished my family or friends. I have not done evil in the place of righteousness. I have not known that which does not exist. I have not done evil.
Okay. These could be proverbs.
Yeah. I have not begun the day by demanding more work than is due me. My name has not reached the office of those who oversee servants. I have not deprived the orphan or his property. I have not done what the divine one hates. I have not slandered a servant or his superior.
Wow.
I have not caused anyone pain. I have not caused anyone to hunger. I have not caused anyone to weep. I have not killed anyone. I have not commanded anyone to kill.
You know, as you're reading this, going back to what I was saying about Proverbs, these are historically the kinds of epigrams that we were taught before we became slaves.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. And so now these are some of the same principles we should be using today.
Right. And it's much more. We go on and on. But I mean, these are the things. The book, Dr. John G. Jackson, Man, God, and Civilization. It's an introduction to African civilization. A good read. Another must read. John Jackson is another one. John Jackson, Christianity Before Christ.
Okay.
It's another must read. Christianity Before Christ, doing John Jackson. Now, I think this is a must read and everything, because the story has been told. We in the New Testament we retelling the story and everything. The world's 16 crucified saviors, cursed graves, and it talks about the historical, how these concepts and stories have just been retold in different cultures, different areas, and everything. And it's the same story, but we've see it as just in the Christian thought.
Now, with these in the world's 16 crucified saviors, are these persons considered what you would call the prophets of that era, or what?
I wouldn't say the prophets. They were.
Wise thinkers, sages.
Yeah, they were the different story is different. It's a different. I'm trying to see how to stage this for our understanding.
Yeah.
And because what I'm saying, what it really is breaking down is that the how we see Christ, but then Christ is not a name; it's a title. And so there have always been a Christ figures. So when you understand that concept, that Christ wasn't his name, but that was the title and what it means, then you look at it, you kind of see it in a broader perspective. And when you say the anointing, so forth, Christ meant anointed one. And the anointed one, we're talking about consciousness.
Right,
awareness, you know, that revelation that's come, this epiphany that you came to in your brain, and it's so to expand, you know, your thought and your good and what you do.
Now, as a title, Christ, is that Aramaic, Hebrew, or Greek? Which one of the languages is it following under?
Which one of the languages is following? Christ.
For the title.
For the title. I'm not sure how to answer that.
Okay.
Because I mean, it may fall from the Greek, but we know he spoke Aramaic.
Yes.
And everything. So Christ itself, that's a good question for us, the root of it.
We'll have to go back to the book.
Have to go back to the book.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. But these guys, they have been out. One of the things what you would see on the Chaplains Podcast the website are listening. I'm not these are not paid advertisement.
Right.
These are people that I think that you should be listening or reading about. That would enlighten you on how you looking and what your perspectives are for your world perspectives and global perspectives.
Well, you know the old saying: if you want to keep a person ignorant, put it in a book.
still, you know, the thing of hate not reading and everything. But I mean, we're at this point of time, and with information that's been put out there, you don't have you can study, you can YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
you can listen. If you don't want to read, you can at least listen,
Right.
And everything. There, like I said, there's a number of academians out there, intellectuals out there who have done the work and everything, and we need to do is just tap into it. But because there's so much information, we have a distrust at times
Right.
for information. So the point of putting these persons out there, trusted people out there that you can listen to, is so that you can have some guidelines of how to go through this maze of information.
Okay.
And what's legit and what's not.
Where do you find these books so that for someone out there that is seeking the same information that you already have, where can they find literature like this?
Well, I mean, what Amazon, most of my books comes from references from other books.
Okay.
So you read one book, and then you share someone, and then it references something else.
Okay.
So it's part of your research.
Yeah.
And from book to book. But I mean, you can find any of these books on Amazon and everything. Amazon, or even if you have a black bookstore in your neighborhood.
Okay.
You can, the Black Madonna. I mean, here in Atlanta, you can find
Over in the West End.
In the West End.
Yeah.
And early on, that's where I bought most of my books from.
Okay.
From the Black Madonna in the West End.
So, as I was saying a minute ago, if you want to keep it a secret, put it in a book. I'm reading The Secrets of All Ages by Manly Hall, and you were talking about references. It's fascinating that some of the references that you were talking to about just right now, I've read some of those same references in The Secret of All Ages.
Mm-hmm.
Manly Hall, excellent book.
Okay.
Check it out.
All right.
Check it out. And he talks about the different religions, and he talks about the different cultures, and how each one of those cultures kind of meshed with one another, coming forward, and the same thing that you're finding in the Bible, it just wasn't written for one particular sect of people. It was written for the universe.
It was. The universe is our teacher.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it really was. And that's why we have to have, I always tell them, I'd rather know something than to believe than something. Mm-hmm. And then once you start, as Dr. James Small would say, when you know the history, you defy the mystery.
Right.
So we started working through mystery.
Say that again. When you the history.
When you learn the history, you defy the mystery.
Okay.
So it's a matter of studying and connecting dots. I'm not saying I have all the answers, but I know where to point to.
Exactly.
Anyway.
Exactly.
So yeah, we have. This is a process of changing our mindset. What I see many of us doing, we're trying to we make an attempt to we tell a story that has already been given to us in a half truth. And it still continues to recycle the same thing. But we're not going to the root of any particular history of things.
Well, you know you're a modern day griot, my brother.
Far from it. I do know what I know, but I encourage others, because my process has been a process of just of growth and change as I began to connect the dots. And so you can tell people things, but you can't connect the dots for everyone. Everyone has to have their own growth process and what they know and what they believe. They just need the information to help them start processing. But we really have to start changing our way of thinking and everything, because it has us. But I think religion bounds people, bind people, instead of freeing them for who they need to be.
Okay.
And everything. And so we have to start. Where is it that Jesus said worship Him? He said he taught more. I don't recall that either. He encouraged us to become more of ourselves.
Yes.
And everything. He told us greater things greater things you do that I've done. Greater things you should do that I've already done.
Exactly.
So, but if we're not, what are those greater things that we're doing? You know, and we think about the terms and the comments of greater is He that is within us and everything. But I learned when I read the text and I look at the people Jesus had, He said, your faith has made you whole. It wasn't like you tell me he had something that they believed within themselves, and it was what within them that made them whole.
Well, as we're talking about education, when Jesus came to the temple and He read at the time, and this is what Pastor was talking about Sunday. Here he is, a 11-year-old boy, and he's reading, and folks are trying to figure out, well, where did this kid come from? Where did he learn to read at such an age? Because in his time, and with the caste system that they had at that time, this kid wasn't supposed to be educated.
But where did he had come out of?
Yeah.
He'd been in Egypt. He'd been trained by some of the masters in Egypt.
Exactly.
And everything. So and see, education starts. It should start at birth, not at first grade. I mean, this is a process. While we're teaching about holidays, blues and goblins, and tricking and treating, and all these different holidays, we could be teaching real knowledge and science and mathematics, because we've been taken away from all of that and everything. So we have to go back and look at how we're educating ourselves. As we quote almost every program, Satan has deceived the whole world. We're not thinking about how he's deceived the world and everything, in all the different areas that we've been deceived there. So we have to re-examine how we've been taught and how we've been trained. And if we listen to those white guys, they do explain what's presently happened within the evangelicals setting, and what has taken place in the past, and how they used religion in controls of controlling of the masses.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a good thing to refer. Like he would say, Roland Martin had him on the show, gave a nice gave a pretty long excerpt of what he preached that Sunday, and then he interviewed him afterwards. It was good information. To me, it was just old information, because it just took the white man to say it, and we've been saying it all along.
As we talk about religion and we talk about education, Winston, I recall hearing Pastor talk about when you were a slave, if you were taught, he or she that taught you, they could be killed. And you could be killed because you're getting the education, which actually made you par or equal to your master during that time.
Well, I mean, when you think about when you've been restrained or not taught to read, all right, it's illegal for you to not read for over 300 years. Think about what that has taken from you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you read Daniel, it tells you how they've been taken into captivity and everything. Then it tells you how they were stripped of their language,
right?
You know, their arts, what they had left behind. So that was what we went through in the 300 years, that was the stripping of everything we were about. Families broken apart.
Mm-hmm.
You know, mothers from their child, or husbands from their wives. You know, it was split up, language gone.
Yes.
There's a book called The Instructions of the Slave. Another book to read. I should have. I may have it on. It talks about how they was doing a census each year in the conversion process.
Okay.
And everything. They would line us up and everything. And if you stuck to your God of old, I mean, they would kill each one by each one.
Mm-hmm.
Even to beheading them. And then by the time you got to the last one, you went on to confess whatever it was. I mean, they were doing this in front of your family,
Right.
and your children. So we have been raised in fear. So we don't really cover, but it's really been done to us, and the trauma in which we still go to, because that's in your system,
in your DNA,
in your DNA,
right?
And everything. So that's why it has to be talked about. That's why it has to be. So we need to pull the bandage off and deal with the real issue, because people are going. We're catching it on both ends right now, and we've talked about the school system and what's the balance and what they're doing there. But what are we doing with them, with our in our community, and where's the conversation with our churches and our pastors about what for us education? What we're doing now, we're worried about food right now,
Exactly.
but
food everywhere. Bought with a credit card.
Yeah, so that's it. But we still need to be worried about and concerned with our education system, and we teaching, and we looking at the curriculum of our schools. I mean, we've been miseducated, point blank, and still being miseducated. And everything. So those are things that we must have a clarion call for at this point in time.
Yes.
It's not time for anyone to be sitting back and just not doing anything and not saying anything, because it's not only us, but with the world is improving.
When I was young, and that's been a while ago, my grandmother would teach me how to read certain things. She always put the Bible in front of me as one of the first books that she wanted me to read. But there were families that were homeschooled. This was before homeschool became a way of life like it is today. And some of the best and smartest kids came from those homeschool systems. And they had some of the best books in the world. That was the fascinating part about it. See, one of the things that I learned going back to Manley Hall, a lot of the information was burned so that we didn't learn who we were or who we are, because they didn't want us to know the power we had.
Yeah, there's a lot of hidden knowledge, hidden truth. I mean, for most of their history is a lot.
Yeah.
I don't want to get. I mean, you can. It's so much that it's built on a lot that it's unraveling. Right now, and we have to dig in ourselves and start re-educating ourselves. As I've told you before, I think the Nation of Islam has one of the best systems out there for us, that the education all around, and they're willing to reach out. And there's a lot of groups out there at this point in time that have curriculums out there. They've been rejecting our books for years. In schools and everything broader out of Howard. These guys, these books are not just come out. These are old professors.
Okay.
And some of them going on to glory. Peace be upon them. But it's time. We like History Month. We use those times to deal with the icons, but we don't study our body of work. And so we need to start studying the body. We have the material. We have the curriculums out there, and we still need to start using them. And that's the problem with that. I guess let me hit here, because some of our pastors are not dealing with it and everything, or some of our people are not dealing with it. So this is more than just the shutting down of the school system, but this really just about re-educating our people at this time. We got to ask the questions, and if you don't ask questions, you don't get answers. I mean, this is not about someone just telling you what to believe.
Exactly.
At this point in time, you ought to know what you know at this point.
So, where is the best place to start for, say, the novice or the amateur that's looking for information? I know you mentioned the Shrine of the Black Madonna over in the West End. Are some of these same books available in local libraries, or do you have to look for them in a specialty store?
That's a good question. I like I said, I shop at mainly black. I try to cater to black bookstores.
Right.
So that's where I try to shop at. But these books can be found on Amazon anywhere. Libraries, some libraries may not have all of them. You know, depending on the library. You know, they control what books
I'm looking at this one here. It says, "How White Folks Got So Rich."
Oh, wow. Yeah. Easy to read. My daughter read that book and then advised her mom to read it.
Okay.
Yeah. You can understand what they're doing now with land and so forth, and how the land grab and what's taking place now. That's happening all over again. With corporations buying up properties,
yes,
and so forth,
and controlling the water.
Well, that's another issue. I mean, we're not even updated.
Yeah,
I wouldn't trust to be doing no more than taking showers. I wouldn't be trust to be drinking too much water out of the faucets at this day and time. We've seen what's taking place in Detroit and other areas.
Yeah.
With that, we don't know what's. Particularly what's going on in each place with our updating our systems.
Winston, how can somebody get in touch with you if they're wanting to learn more about some of the books that are available?
My sister just walked in. They can go to the Chaplains Podcast website. And it will be up this week.
Okay.
And we have references to the various books.
Yeah.
And YouTube influencers.
Okay. And Amazon. You mentioned Amazon a few minutes ago. Let's go back to talk about Pastor Gary Burke over at Lakewood Church of Hope. His sermon Sunday.
Oh, powerful.
Very, very powerful. And he talked about how we have kind of lost our focus in trying to empower ourselves. What are some of the first steps that we should be taking as a people?
We have to take back control. Like he broke it down. That's why I wanted him on the show today. He broke it down so well and talking about all the things that stem from the church.
Yes.
The hospitals, businesses and groceries. I mean, those things stem from our church and community, our schools. Our first schools was in our churches.
Exactly.
So what we've done, we've turned over our power to the government and everything instead of holding on to that. We started becoming in the integration. We became assimilated.
Okay.
Assimilation process and becoming somebody. We're trying to become more like who they are instead of knowing who we were. But we're still in that process of learning who we are. We didn't probably most didn't even know anything past who they were being a slave.
Right.
But we're much more than that. We are the first people. Those are just simple facts and things that in knowing who you are, and the basic things of just knowing who we are is out.
It's fascinating. You talk about how there were certain people that were self-sufficient. They were taught in the schools. At that church, they were taught how to become entrepreneurs. And let me give a similarity here in what I'm saying. I look at people like Daddy Grace. Now, you may be too young to know about Daddy Grace. but I remember Daddy Grace as a little boy because he'd come to town and he'd have his convertible and they'd have parades and he'd be throwing dollar bills out and people would just be following him. But one of the things that Daddy Grace did is he empowered his people. They had their own grocery stores. They had their own clothing stores. They had communities that were built by Daddy Grace. And you were comparing the Muslim community with what it seemingly is that same type of ideology. They're making you self-sufficient in the Muslim community. as well as like Daddy Grace was doing. Everything was right there for you.
Right.
And it's the same thing with the Muslim community. I'm seeing it in several parts of the country where they are buying land and they're building villages and they're taking care of their people. So how do we do that for those that aren't Muslim in the non-Muslim community?
Well, I mean, first of all, they have a system that they're openly and willing to share. Pastors are willing to work with them. See, we're still separated based on religion, and that's foolishness.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, we suffering the same thing. When they stop you and pull you over, they ain't asking you whether you're Christian.
Right,
whether you is Muslim, you know, and you know, so we got to understand what our commonality is in who we are.
Okay.
And so we had to start that. That's why it needs to be a conversation with pastors. What's next for us?
Mm-hmm.
Stop waiting for the fallout.
Mm-hmm. Stop
being reactionary and be proactive, because this is time to be dealing with it now.
Yeah. Now, as we're talking about being proactive, at one time the church was a sanctuary, but now you can't even use the church as a sanctuary for these people that are now brown or black that are being taken away by the government because they're the wrong color.
What I love about your church and your pastor is that y'all are grassroots.
Yeah.
I mean, y'all are down to earth. It's not about any hoopla or anything, but it's about the service and what you all are doing within a community. Mm-hmm. So that's why it needs to be highlighted. And what the justice piece that y'all have going on,
right,
and so forth. Those things need to be highlighted, and we need to be doing those on larger scales and with other churches also. The power we have the numbers and the power. We just need to come together and do it and be about it. Yeah. It's no doubt about how we're doing. They talked about the great falling away and how young folk, we have to stop talking about our young folk and know how to better serve our people. Mm-hmm. And everything. They're not just going for the flash and the hoopla on Sundays.
Right.
And everything. They want knowledge and everything.
So they're looking for education.
They're looking for education.
Exactly.
And a lot of people are looking for that education. They're not looking to be talked down to or just to be pumped up every Sunday. But they're looking for the answers. And we have answers. We just need to come together and work.
How do you come up with your subjects for your podcast, brother? That's always been fascinating for me.
Well, you see the things that are going on. I don't watch much news.
Okay.
Because it's the same thing. News is entertaining right now. All I'm doing is trying to just put out the word about what we need to be doing. I'm really trying to make a call to brethren to have a conversation, mm-hmm. regardless of our differences. Because I'm quite sure I may not believe like none of them in certain ways, but it's about doing the work.
Okay.
Within the community and putting our differences aside, and then picking up a book. Like I say, I think every church should have some type of book club where you're reading books and then going back and
having a discussion.
Right. Stop reading these
romance novels.
These novels and all that. Read some real
science fiction.
Things are gonna give you some real background and history,
right.
And then you can start figure out. You'll look at the text, the scripture even different when you know the proper history and context of things. And nobody just can't tell you that. We just use the text, just memorize text, and to as though it's a wish book.
Okay.
But no, I mean we have to start digging more in depth and everything to and asking the question. Well, even if we doubt something, we still need to ask questions. That's what we weren't taught to do.
Right.
Was ask questions. We was told what to believe.
As we're talking about asking questions, if somebody wanted to be a guest on the program, are they open to contacting you or contacting Phoenix Media and then being set up as a guest on your program?
Oh, for sure.
Okay. Yeah. And folks, look, here's a number. I'm going to give you my personal phone number. If you want to be on the Chaplains Podcast, give me a personal call, 404-904-2041. That's my personal cell. Feel free to call me If you find that the Chaplains Podcast is the kind of program that you would like to see more of, and you want to be a part of the conversation, Pastor Winston Paul would be talking to Winston Paul.
I'm not wanted.
Pastor Winston would be more than happy to have you on the program. So call me personally and I'll make sure that we get you on Winston's program. This is the Chaplains Podcast, and we're talking today about literature. Right now, this is Man, God, and Civilization. We've got From the Broader File. And the interesting thing about this book, the introduction is written by Dr. Asa Hilliard. And the Hosea, I've got to read each one of these, my brother. Which one would I start with?
I'll start with the Broader. I like the Broader.
The Broader File?
I probably brought that book in the middle 80s.
Okay.
And he has an update. I have to get the updated version of it.
I see you got the highlighted part.
Oh man, that was probably about one of the first books I read. It's an easy read. He writes in a way that, I mean, you can understand, and it's simplified. It's not it's academics, but it's not that type of reading that you got to pull your dictionary out while you read.
Yeah,
and everything. He writes in a way, and it's something simple.
Yeah, I'm looking at this chapter here called The Creation of the Negro. And it says, pick a name, any name, Negro, colored, black, or African American, call a people by any name, and they're still the same people, right, wrong? Well, I've been all 40. In fact, I've been a couple more, which weren't so nice. The name that you respond to determines the amount of your self-worth. Wow, that's deep, man. Letting you know that your name gives you the power to do great things. Winston, where are we going from here as a people?
Well, truly, we're going through change.
Yeah.
Change, and how we're going about that is to be seen. I think at this time, I think we do have voices out there. I do see people who are actually, putting in the work, teaching and doing the classes of those who want to participate. Mm-hmm. The knowledge, the wisdom is out here. We just got to seek it and apply it. Just some people just don't, you have a group just don't want to know, and it's going to just be where they are,
right.
And just do what you do, treat people well and keep moving. But I think we still have the leadership, and I'm pushing because I've been in the church all my life, mm-hmm. and I'm pastor. I've been a chaplain, so I'm pushing for the brothers to start having more conversations. These conversations, they are sidebar conversations. I call them sidebar conversations, exactly. But they are challenging conversations and everything, because people want to hold on to something that they may need to let go of, mm-hmm. and some people are not going to let go of what some traditions they have. Some thoughts that they have, and that's fine. But still, we got to put in the work for services and what we need to be doing. And I think that's part of the problem also with why we don't have churches trying to start off with schools and schooling.
Yeah,
and everything, because of I don't think a group can agree on a curriculum.
Okay.
Because when you start school, you have to have a curriculum. What you're going about, and so it's not but we have those curriculums. Mm-hmm. They're there, so they're not hard to find.
That's fascinating. You would talk about having curriculum, because there are certain movements going on today that don't want certain things written in history books anymore. I'm finding that in certain school systems, you can't talk about slaves, or you can't talk about the slave trade, or you can't talk about plantations, because it, quote, isn't culturally, it's culturally insensitive. But I mean, we lived it here in this country.
Right. Well, they have always done that. They've always. I remember in growing up. I'm 60. Mm-hmm. And I remember growing up that certain books weren't allowed, and I remember certain people you couldn't listen to.
Okay.
They tear down. I mean, for us, our historians. I mean, when you think about, I taught in school how they say, I think it was Du Bois and who was one of his contemporaries. It was Du Bois and another, but they pitted them against each other, but they was fighting for the same cause and everything. But we've always been pitted against each other to be at odds with each other when we really have the same common goal.
Was the Douglas? Was the Frederick Douglas?
It meant the Frederick, Frederick Douglass. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But they had the same goal. I mean, they just had different
approaches to it. Okay.
But yeah, Jay, I appreciate you, coming, hanging out with me today and everything. But we're gonna keep this conversation going, this dialogue going, and we'll be looking to have your pastor on with us on next week.
We are looking forward to that. And folks, once again, let me remind you that if you want to be on the Chaplains Podcast, I'm giving you my personal cell number, 404-904-2041. Give me a call. Let's hear some of the things that you would like to talk about, or some of the things that you maybe even want to be a guest on. And I'm extending an invitation on your program. But if you want to be on Brother Winston's program on the Chaplains Podcast, then I'm going to be one of the links to get you into this brother's program, which is dynamic. Brother Winston, give us an encouraging word or two before we leave out of here today.
As we continue to work together and come together, remember charity begins at home.
Yeah.
And we need to, our kids, regardless of being grown or not, we need to be having conversation about how we're moving, what we're doing for its productivity within our community. So it needs to be a family. Use this time on these fictitious holidays that we share. Use this time as family time to dialogue and talk about family events and structure. That's what we need to be doing.
Yeah.
Charity begins at home.
Instead of that smart uncle sitting over there and had him one or two. This is the Chaplains Podcast. My brother Winston. Winston, thank you again for inviting me to be a part of the program today.
Thanks for being here, Jay.
Peace.
Is my person still like that? Did she stay? I thought I saw her come in.
Gary, was that young lady here to see?
Was that Tamala?
No, that was the girl from next door.
Oh, okay.
From the shoe store.
Oh, okay. I didn't have my glasses on, so I couldn't see her.
My phone was blowing up. Well, we were on the. See what this is that was calling. Miss Sonia, how'd we do?
Awesome. Everything looked great.
Fantastic.
Y'all sounded great. Everything was very clear.
I look good in cover.
Very good.
I was looking at you the whole time.
Hey, that's what we're supposed to do, brother.
But the angles were very good. Y'all looked really good. So
Well,
we had,
great.
multiple angles. We had one straight on, one, we had 4 different angles.
Mhm.
Everything was good. Gotcha. So you drank it into this whole thing? Okay.
What's the way you headed now, man?
I'm